Greetings, Gary, and how was IAPA for Stern this year? How was it for you?
IAPA is a good show, and we have a lot of one kind of customer, operator customers. There's some enthusiasts. You know, we have 3 customers that we service. We need to service all 3. We have operators, and more than half of our games are used by operators. We have enthusiast collectors, and then we have just general people who want to have a game in their home. And they don't necessarily need the same thing. For operators, we have our Pro Model game, and we showed AC/DC, and we showed X-Men, and we also showed X-Men with an add-on redemption ticket unit. It can also be operated ticketless, so that will put our games in different kind of locations or in a different spot. We'll get into more arcades and introduce young people to pinball. We'll be in a different spot in the arcade. In certain markets like Russia, for example, it opens the market up for us. Pinball is not something that they really know or into, but the redemption will put us into a new spot. So we have our Pro models, we have our limited edition models for the collector enthusiast, and then for the enthusiast, we have sometimes a premium model, which has all the bells and whistles and not quite as much eye candy as the limited edition models. Now we're starting, and we're starting to build as I speak, the Pin, which is our entry-level game, a non-coin-op game, selling it in North America through Cineplex Starburst in Canada and Amazon.com. And this will put games at a little bit lower price in homeowners, not necessarily enthusiast collectors, but just general people who want a game and at a lower price point. And again, we hope that this introduces pinball to more people.
Transformers. I was going to ask about that.
That's the model that we're going to have Transformers of.
Can you tell us more about that? What was the thought behind that?
Well, the thought is to make a real pinball machine with a wood play field, a little different composition, wood, silk screen, just like the coin-op games, hard coat, just like the coin-op games. The game has commercial flippers, commercial pop bumpers, commercial slingshots, commercial spinning target, drop target. It's made to be somewhat lower cost, and we do that by some different materials, and different cabinet configuration, construction. The playfield has this play area that we had in pinball machines maybe 30 years ago, which is the same width as today and 2 inches shorter than today's one. So it's basically the same pinball machine. It plays great.
What was the demand that inspired this to happen? Where did it come from? How much was there?
Yeah, we want to get games into more people's hands.
Right.
Having said that, it's exceptionally important that we have games in the street in operators' hands, because if operators don't have them, nobody's going to the ELG at home. They don't even know about pinball. We need to expose pinball. But the idea is that for .coms, big box stores, some billiard dealers, sales to a general homeowner needed a little bit smaller, a little less expensive. This game is UPSable.
Right.
And it's very easy to set up and ship.
Whereas Best Buy, I was happy to see you selling other games through Best Buy as an option, but like you said, it's easier to ship.
Yeah.
And with the LE versions of games coming out before the pros, do you believe that there's that home users and collector operators like myself are becoming more and more relevant?
We need some people laugh at me when I say we're like a farmer with 3-legged stool.
Okay.
We need all 3 legs. We need the enthusiast collector, we need the operator, and we need the general homeowner. We want all of these people to have games. The ideal plan would be to make some pros first, mostly for export.
Right.
Then the limited edition, then more pros, and later, if there's going to be a premium. And the reason that that's the ideal plan is that it lets us send some pros to Europe, which is largely an operator market. Then we get and some samples, in America. We then get to do the limited editions here, and that gives enough time for the games to get to Europe, land there, be sold, and the Europeans to reorder. We export over half of our games, about half of our games, and the export market is exceptionally important to us. And it's largely an operator market outside this country. In this country, we may be 30% operators. In Italy, we might be 99% operators.
Okay.
Australia might be 50% operators.
Okay.
All parts of this are important to the marketplace.
And also, will the prices for pros and LEs will they be pretty much staying where they have been for past 2-3 years, or are they going to kind of bump in the future?
They're going to bump. They're going to bump.
Okay.
We're doing some things that we hope will let us not increase too much.
Okay.
I do anticipate the pro price is very low for what the game is.
Right.
So I anticipate some increase there on the model after our next game. We've announced the Avengers is our next game.
Right.
So after Avengers, I anticipate it increasing for the pro. Each of the limited editions and premiums, we look at the games themselves and the content, and we look at our formulas to see what we have. I mean, we design games. We're like an automobile, like the automobile business.
Right.
The automobile business, you have manufacturers, dealers, customizers, car collectors, car users, whatever. We're the same thing.
Right.
We have a manufacturer like us. We have dealers and distributors.
Right.
We have some people that are going to trick out their games, customize their games. We have somebody who wants to, make a small production game. Oh, Nelly, DeLorean wanted to make cars, that type of thing.
Right.
So we have all of that same thing. But most of all, what we are, like a car company.
Right.
The purpose of a car company is not to design cars. Car guys love cars, and they design cars, and they run companies that have cars. Pinball guys love pinball. I've been in this for 65 years because I'm 67. My father before me and other companies. We love pinball, but the art is not to design them. They got to be out in somebody's hands being used. We're manufacturers. We're American manufacturers. We make a product in America. We employ people. We make 5,000, 6,000 games a year. We do this every day, day in, day out. Just designing a game is not what we do. We are manufacturers.
Right.
And that is the important part of it. Job.
That's rule one.
Yeah. Jobs said, for Apple, he said, shipping is art. Right? Just to design the game, and a couple guys look at it, and we play it, and this or that. That's not what we do. We are manufacturers. My father started me in the stockroom when I was 16 at Williams, and material control.
Right.
Is what manufacturing, probably the most important part of manufacturing.
Right, that's why when you put out a game, you're not going to sit on extra parts. You're not going to make an extra of every part for every game, or even every 10, 20, 100 games.
You make a few extra parts for replacement parts. If you have to go make more later, they're going to be pricey, but that's the nature of it. You can't afford to. It's a business. There's numbers.
Right.
We employ a lot of people. If we're not making games one day, a particular day,
right,
then there's, in our own factory, there's
right,
a couple hundred people who don't get work.
Right.
And if there's, in our suppliers, they don't get work. I mean, this is capitalism. It's American manufacturing. We love pinball, but we employ people, and
right,
people get work from us.
Right.
So we're giving you all, an amusement, and we're giving our employees and our suppliers,
right,
a livelihood.
And to be honest, you can't have economy based on just consumption of having your hair done, doing lattes, getting your nails done. You have to save and then produce. That to have an economy,
yeah,
you have to produce, not just consume. And
yeah,
you're producing a product.
We need manufacturing. I feel we're very patriotic, actually.
Right.
We're producing a
You're
product.
exporting.
It's something that we need. We export it, absolutely. We're not we're not just a service economy. We're not just designers.
Right.
There are companies that do nothing but design.
Correct.
They come up with great designs and they sell them to somebody else. We are manufacturers, but we love our games.
What can you tell us about the new Avengers game? What is there anything getting?
We are going to have an official announcement at the end of November, and again, we don't announce things piecemeal. We may do a teaser or something, but we're going to tell you
right,
pictures of all the different versions of the game, detailed lists of what's in the game.
Okay.
There may be a video of the gameplay. We believe in putting it all out there at one time.
We understand, as pinball owners, operators, we understand basic economics that inflation
Yeah.
is just, it's a monetary phenomenon. It is here to stay, as the way the system is right now, and that the price of everything will go up, and that we will have to pay more, even for used games. That's where things are going. Since we're paying more, are we going to be seeing new technologies implemented from Stern?
Yes, you're going to see new technologies, and among the technologies, you know that we have LEDs in our limited edition.
Right.
But most important, and people talk about display, and we'll do something with display. But before we do that, let's talk about what the basic electronics are.
Yes.
This game today has electronics from basically the 1970s.
Yep.
Okay? And we are going to bring pinball into the 21st century. In our ELG, we have a small electronic system, scalable up. It's not underpowered. It's a powerful electronic system. It's what's called a bus system, which means that instead of a big fat cable, you have 6 wires like you plug your computer into,
right.
and it goes to semi-smart boards. You drive behind an automobile today, there's LEDs for the taillights, but there's also not a big fat cable in it anymore. It's 6 wires running through there to node boards, semi-smart boards. Our ELG game, the pin, transformers the pin, it has the same CPU sound system that we will use as we expand the use of this system, and it has 2 node boards. We have used this system in test in transformers. We built a few, and it had 4 node boards. We are making some AC/DC premiums with this system to fully test it. When we went from the White Star to the SAM system, we built some Sopranos,
right.
with instead of the White Star with the SAM system, and we sent them throughout the world to make sure that they work and found out what they have. Change the electronic system, it's a ranch pad. We are going to make it more reliable, and then we're going to have more reliable switches and switch technology, and we'll look at other technologies in it. But still, we're basically a pinball machine. I mean,
right.
Get your soldering iron, it ain't going
right.
away.
And I'm an IT guy by trade. I know all the stuff you're talking about, and to be honest, the new Wizard of Oz game has that type of USB system. It's it's USB together. I'm not going for that.
Actually, though, our CPU is this big.
It's gonna be all right.
No more transformers, switching power.
We're gonna have Intel, or you're gonna use a different type of processor system, or your own system.
It's our system.
It's your system, your processor,
our processor, of course.
Okay. So you're making it from ground up, like basically ground up.
Of course it is, and it is a real bus system. There's no matrix driver board. There's no through-hole components.
Right.
Very few through-hole components. You're taking my pictures with a small camera.
Right.
You know how many through-hole components are in that camera? None. Right? There are no through. We've just recently had to go for some of our tips from through-hole to surface mount. Right. The world is surface mount. That's what it is.
Oh yeah.
And so we can have a CPU soundboard this big.
Yes.
And a few node boards that are this big. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, what's on my phone? I mean, the technology on my phone. I mean, it could run a pinball machine, to be honest. And so, and initial cost, of implementation, it's high, but in the long run, that should save money in production and smoother.
In the back box, where electronics belong in the back box, so you can get to them, is a little board like this, and then there'll be little boards on the playfield, and that's the end of it.
Right, and as an operator, it's to make it anything easier to work on, to get to less wiring.
It's very simple.
I'm not impressed with the 100-mile wire.
In our ELG game, we have that system.
Okay.
We don't have boards in the bottom.
Right.
But we don't want a lot of electronics in the top. We don't have boards in the bottom because how do you fix the game? You as an operator.
Right.
You got to take that playfield out to get to those boards. Look what Gottlieb did years ago. Look what Atari did.
Right.
You have to take that playfield out to get to, or you bent over a playfield. Williams learned that in the Pinball 2000 that was one of their weaknesses.
And,
in any event.
Yeah, and in future, they have technology of displays that are flat, as flat as paper. So in the future, that is an option.
Let's keep in mind
to give instead of giving up the whole back box,
Well, let's keep in mind one other thing: should the display fill the back box, or is the game on the play field? If I'm putting, we need a display. It
Right.
should have some score and information. It should have some decoration
Right.
to the game. But basically, the game is on the plate.
Right. But for me, and as an operator as well, it is a visual point of reference, more so for people around as than the person playing,
That
and
is
for
correct.
initial. So one color, the orange color had it for 20 years. There's
Well,
the color of DMD, which is amazing to me.
We've made a great change. We're now red instead of orange.
Right. Right.
So no, we need to make a change in the display, and we're looking at various different
Right.
things we can do. But first, we'll change the electronics, then the display. We don't do everything at once. We have to grow the game. But in the 21st century, we're still, though, basically a pinball machine. But we're not going backwards.
Not going backwards.
Yeah.
How many games do you currently own?
Do I currently own?
Yeah. And what are they?
Right now I own about 200 in the factory, I think. It's a thing. Do I have a game in my apartment? I've had games in my apartment.
Okay.
I don't right now. And that's because every time I go to take one home, somebody wants it and we sell it.
Oh, wow.
I play them in the factory. I wanted a Family Guy.
Right.
Yeah, but I sold it instead.
Do you have a favorite game of all time? Just one that just sentimental or?
My favorite game right now is X-Men, and in a month or so, it won't be X-Men anymore. It'll be Avengers.
It's not AC/DC. You're already over AC/DC. Or
Well, that's because we're making X-Men.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a salesman. My favorite game. I go out and I look what's on the line in the factory. Wouldn't make any game we don't like.
Right.
So I must like it. It's out there on the line, so that must be my favorite game. It's what I'm making today.
At SPF last year, you stated that you won't be heading up Stern forever.
That's right.
For the rest of your life. That's a long, that could be a long time, Everybody's, we live long now. Do you have anyone in mind to take over the reins? And if so, are you confident they'll do well?
There's some differing plans that are being pursued.
Okay.
But yes, I'm 67. One day I'm going to retire. Heck, I already get Social Security,
So does my dad. He's 71. He's still working.
Yeah.
So, it's, you keep working, and you're still passionate about it. You wouldn't just say, all right, goodbye. I'm going to go be on an island and relax and drink mimosas all day. I mean, I don't see that happening.
My father made pinball machines. I make pinball machines. It's very, it's not unusual to see somebody in the same business as their parent. They learn it. Look, presidents' sons become president. People who run for president, their sons run for president. They both lose. But in one case they both win, the other they both lose. Bush,
right.
Romney. Doctors' kids sometimes become doctors,
right.
and so forth and so on.
The lineage.
Yeah. And I grew up around pinball. I started in the factory when I was 16.
Right.
But in the summer times, of course, I was a student also. But I was around it all the time before that. So from the time I was 2, we manufactured. My father started as an operator before that.
And there's nothing else you'd wanted to have done. There was never a career or something you had a dream as a kid that.
I practiced law for a while, and I went back to making pinball machines.
Did you learn anything from that law experience?
Of course I did.
And that helped you through your pinball career?
Well, for one thing, I was a bankruptcy lawyer. This is a difficult business.
Yes, sir. And I'm impressed. I'm impressed that you've kept it going on.
This company's 26 years old this year. So.
And I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time and helping pinball stay alive. And
my pleasure, and it's our pleasure. Thank you for your interest.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.